Good morning, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be taking the Saucony Endorphin speeds on their first run. I'm just doing my rolling and stretching routine that I like to do every morning. Shout out to my flatmate Charlie for his foam roller. Mine recently broke, so he's lent me his for the time being. But yeah, we've got the Saucony Endorphin speeds today. It's the first time I've ever run in a Saucony shoe. I have taken them out on one run already, which was the 5k park run at the weekend in Ipswich, and they held up pretty well. But today I'm going to take them on a little bit of a longer run, around 16k or the 10-mile mark, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter, depending on how my hip is feeling. So at the weekend I raced the Billericay 10k, got the first place result, so thank you for everyone who's commented and sent their congratulations for that video. It was a really good one, and I won a £100 cash prize, which is wicked, my first ever cash prize from a running race. But yeah, my hip came up a little bit sore from the weekend. A week prior to that race I actually took a tumble on my long run. It was in the evening and I tripped on a tree root and landed quite heavily on my knee, and obviously my hip as well, because I've had a little bit of hip pain for the last 2 weeks now. So I decided to take 3 days off running just to let it sort of calm down a little bit, because I was sort of, every time I was running I was sort of aggravating it again. So I'm hoping today it's recovered after 3 or 4 days. But yeah, today's video is all about the Saucony Endorphin speed that was kindly sent to me for the purpose of review. So today I'm going to go over my first impressions, my likes and dislikes, and how I'm going to be using the shoe moving forward, as well as who the shoe is best suited for. So I'm back from my 15km run this morning in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2s. I averaged 4:22 per kilometre for that run. The first 13k I sort of went at my easy pace, so around that 4:30 mark. And then the last few kilometres I picked up the pace a little bit, just to test the shoe at sort of different speeds, so at my easy, my steady, and more of a tempo effort towards the end. I think the last kilometre I ran around 3 minutes 40 per kilometre. That was actually my second run in the Saucony Endorphin speeds. I did a park run at the weekend in Ipswich on an all grass and sort of trails park run, and the shoe held up pretty well over that distance as well. So I did the 5k in 17 minutes and 45 seconds, and for a grassy hilly course that was pretty good. All my training you can view on Strava. You can follow me, Ben Felton, on Strava, and I post all of my training runs, and you can sort of see what shoes I've been running in throughout the week. So let's start with some specifications of this shoe. In my UK size 8 it weighs 219 grams, so it's a fairly lightweight shoe. It has a nylon plate in this one, not a carbon, a full length nylon plate. We have the Power Run PB midsole. It's almost made of these like little tiny balls. The best way to describe it is it looks like polystyrene that's sort of been compressed down. You can see there on the outsole here, this exposed midsole here, you can really see these little balls have been compressed down to make up this midsole. We have an 8mm drop, So this shoe has a 35.5mm stack height in the heel, dropping to 27.5mm in the toe box. So yeah, sort of a medium stack height shoe. It's not quite at the height of the 40mm of, say, the carbon racing shoes, but it's definitely not a low stack height shoe. I'd say middle to high. Other features to mention is we have a semi-gusseted tongue and a nice sort of padded and secure heel tab here, which provides nice support when running in this shoe. Moving on to my first impressions of this shoe. So when I put it on foot to start with, I noticed there was a little bit of room in my sort of toe area, so I thought maybe you want to go half a size down, but having now run in this shoe a couple of times, I probably wouldn't advise going half a size down. It just feels just about right when you get moving, your toes start moving around, so there's plenty of room there in the toe box for me, but I do have quite a narrow foot, so maybe that's why. In terms of the ride, the first impressions are it's a nice bouncy ride. It's a definite sort of balance between being a soft shoe and a firm shoe. It's right in the middle there, the sweet spot. It's not soft like the sort of Rebel V2 from New Balance, and it's not as firm as some other shoes such as the Nike Zoom Fly 4 that I recently tried out. It's sort of a nice balance between being soft but also firm and responsive. Yeah, nice bouncy feel for this midsole. I was really impressed with Saucony's midsole, having never run in a Saucony shoe before. And the other first impressions were it was a nice stable ride. So some of these higher stack height shoes, such as the Saucony Endorphin Speed here, can be a little bit unstable, but I didn't have any instability problems at all. I reckon that's down to the nylon plate in there, just helping the shoe with a bit of structure, and as I was running in it I could really feel that the shoe felt nice and stable. Moving on to my likes and dislikes, we'll start with the likes. There's plenty of them. I can already tell this shoe is going to be a contender for my 2021 shoe of the year. It's just a really versatile shoe. It felt comfortable at my easy, my steady and my tempo efforts, so I'm going to be able to use this shoe for a lot of runs moving forward. So yeah, my likes were it was a very lightweight trainer, only 219 grams, which for me is, yeah, pretty light. It's one of the lighter daily trainers that I've got. I also enjoyed the ride. As I was saying, it's sort of a snappy ride, a nice balance between being soft but also firm. And yeah, seemed to have a pretty good energy return across the runs I've done in it so far. I also like the build quality of this one. I can tell it's going to last a long time. It's sort of got these rubberized bits here on the side, which is going to give the shoe a nice durability. Sometimes these the meshes here on the uppers of shoes can rip, so it's nice to see they've been reinforced here on the Saucony. And yeah, nice amount of rubber on the bottom. I would say for me this area here of exposed midsole is a little bit of concern. Maybe the durability won't be as high as say if this area was maybe covered with a few strips of this harder rubber, but only time will tell, and I will give you a full review after I've put some proper miles in this shoe. The shoe comes in at £155, which I think is a pretty reasonable shoe, especially for one that I can do my easy runs, my long runs, my tempo work. I'd even consider racing sort of the 5 and 10k distance in this shoe. It seems nice and responsive and stable, as well as being very comfortable. So yeah, I would even consider racing in this shoe. So I think that £155 price point is pretty good. Moving on to some of my dislikes. This morning on my run, the roads were a little bit wet, and I noticed the shoe wasn't quite gripping to the pavement as well as some other shoes. So maybe it could look at being a little bit better in the wet. I'm a bit of a midfoot to sort of heel striker, so I was sort of landing on this area here, which doesn't have any rubber on, so it was a little bit slippery for me. I don't know if anyone else has found that with the Saucony shoes, but I noticed I wasn't quite gripping the pavement as well as I would have liked. The only other dislike is maybe that the nylon plate wasn't giving me quite as much bounce forward as say a carbon plate would, but it wasn't as rigid, which was a nice feeling. You don't want that sort of rigid carbon plate for your daily miles. which can cause you some issues. So yeah, it wasn't quite as poppy as some of the carbon racing shoes, but then again, this isn't a racing shoe. This is a shoe designed for your speed work, tempo, threshold, that sort of stuff. So yeah, that pretty much summarizes my first 2 runs in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2s. In terms of how I'm going to use them moving forward, I think these are going to be my go-to when it comes to sort of my steady runs, my tempo work. I'm going to try them out on the track, see how they fare. At the sort of race pace stuff for me. I would recommend these shoes to somebody who's looking for a shoe that you can do pretty much everything in. So you can do your easy runs in, and you can even race in this shoe. I'd even recommend racing some 10Ks, some even up to half marathon distance in this shoe. It's very comfortable, it's lightweight, it's poppy, it's everything you want in sort of the lightweight poppy category of running shoes. There's also a nice stable ride to this one, which some of the carbon racing shoes such as the Vaporfly and the Alphafly from Nike don't have. So yeah, that pretty much summarizes my first impressions of the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2s. Really excited about this one. I can already tell it's going to be one of my favorite shoes of this year. I'm going to make a video on my favourite shoes of the year, but it's definitely up there with the Hoka Mach 4, the New Balance Rebel V2. It's a very, very versatile shoe, and I can already tell it's going to be a winner for me. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this first impressions, and I look forward to putting many more miles in the Saucony Endorphin Speeds. Aspire to run and run to inspire, and we'll see you with another video soon. Thank you very much.